Hello, good evening. Welcome everybody. I hope you all had your first drink and snack. I'm really very happy for every single one of you that you came here, and so I would like to wholeheartedly welcome you here tonight. We're celebrating tonight. We want to celebrate 10th anniversary of a little company called the Siesta Group that I have had the honor of leading as a CEO ever since it was founded. And we want to celebrate. Of course, we want to eat and drink afterwards, but we also want to celebrate a little bit with style and substance. So I'm very happy to be able to introduce you to two distinguished people a little later on who will give you their perspectives about the field that we're working on here and share their experience with our experience to make this really a day worth remembering for. The Siesta Group was founded, as the event says, 10 years ago as a spin-off, as I will tell you in a moment. And I would like to use the introduction here, the first few minutes, without hopefully boring you too much, to step through those 10 years. Many of you know us very well here. Some of you know us a little, but others, and here I must say, we would like not to celebrate only with you here. We want to celebrate with the rest of the world as well. Many of our customers come from all over the world. Many of our additional partners and friends, in addition to who is here tonight, come from all continents. So we decided to also share this experience here tonight with everybody. We're videotaping the presentations. It's not a live stream. We thought that would be a little too much, but it's going to be a little broadcast for the others. That's one of the reasons why we choose English as the language tonight. The other reason is that we have a few distinguished guests who prefer English as their language. So I would like to use the first few minutes here just to take you very quickly through those 10 years. And even for those who know us very well, it might be a good point in time to say, who exactly are we? What do we stand for? What are we today? And how did we arrive here? Where did we start from? And how did we develop to where we are now? So please come with me on a very quick tour through those 10 years. And as it happened, when I sifted through all the materials, I found out that really almost every year we came through another milestone of our history. And therefore, even though it's not entirely exact, that every year a list here is really associated to what happened here, but we can see 10 years, 10 milestones. I guess this is a pretty good story for tonight. So who are we? Let's start with that. How do we present ourselves today? And the famous thing I learned very early on, the elevator speech. How would I, within a minute, describe what our company is doing? And we define ourselves as being a service provider supporting the measurement of sleep, wakefulness, brain activity in clinical trials and research. So what does it mean? We're supporting everybody who's doing trial and research, predominantly pharmaceutical industry, but also device companies who want to put their devices through trials. And we support them whenever their goal or one of their goals is to measure what their drug or device does to sleep, does to the wakefulness of the person, or in more general terms, does to their brain activity. And that includes pretty much every drug that is CNS active that crosses the blood-brain barrier. So that describes us. In terms of services, we consult, we do the data analysis, we do the data quality control, and we even rent out devices. So everybody who is thinking about measuring this and doesn't have enough experience should turn to us. So how did we end up being such a service provider, or how did it all get started? 10 years or more than 10 years ago, the basis was built. I started my career purely in academia. I'm still a professor at the Medical University of Vienna, but I started this whole endeavor as a research project funded by the EU Commission, and the project was called Siesta, which was actually a real acronym. Everybody forgot what the acronym was for, what those letters stood for, but the word stuck. And it stuck so much that we named the company after it, the Siesta Group. But the Siesta, the project was the basis. It was a project with partners all over Europe, And among others, we wanted to build new methods for analyzing signals during sleep. Signals that typically are recorded in a sleep lab. And among others, one of the big results was a very large database of sleep of normal people, elderly, younger, but also people with sleep disturbances. This is still today, we could consider this as the largest or even only existing normative database of human sleep. And that, plus a lot of other tools, experience, and so inspired us to continue this endeavor, to not stop with the results of the research project. So in 2002, we indeed founded a company called the Siesta Group. I have to give a lot of credit to one person here, Professor Werner Herrmann. Unfortunately, he passed away much too early. He was from Berlin, a professor in psychiatry, and he had, before we started this whole thing, founded himself 2 different contract research organizations, CROs, companies that serve pharmaceutical industry. So he had a lot of experience. It was actually his idea, that let's found a company, let's exploit our results. So him and I, Peter Andra, and many other people, so altogether there were 13 scientists, all from that project. There were experts in EEG processing, there were physicians in psychiatry, neurology, and other experts. We all put in some money, and that was the founding capital for the company Siesta Group. You see here, this was our first logo. The now corporate identity came a little later. So that was the genesis of how the company came about. Now, with this starting capital, you don't get very far. So, of course, we aimed for more. A year later, we participated in a business plan contest, and we won a special prize. It was 1,000 euros. That didn't help much financially, but it helped us in getting the right contacts. So eventually, in that year, we would get our first seed financing from what was then called the Innovationsagentur, what is today called AWS, Austria Wirtschaftsservice. That gave us the first money to make our first development, product development. And what was that product? It's still today the product that is associated with us. It's the product called Somnalyzer 24/7. What it is a very intelligent system analyzing automatically signals that are recorded during the night in a so-called polysomnography in a sleep lab. So it takes the job and does it very reliably and robustly of a skilled expert analyzing, going through the signals and identifying sleep stages and sleep events. We could prove till today, publications activities continue, that this was really the first system that could be proven to be equivalent to what humans are doing. Therefore, it's as good, it can be used with the same validity, but it is much more reproducible. It doesn't change its mind as much as humans do. And with this, in this year, we had, still today, we're very proud of that. We had a development plan ending October 2004, and we had the product ready. October 2004, ESRS, European Sleep Research Society Conference in Prague, we entered the market with it. And with that success, we finally could get venture capital investors on board, Gamma Capital Partners and Univenture. So since then, we have been VC financed. So that was the big story in 2004. From then, we tried to conquer the market. We tried to conquer it initially in 4 different areas. We wanted to serve sleep labs. There are about 5,000 or 6,000 all over the world that can benefit from our software. We wanted to help corporates investigate the sleep of their employees. We wanted to get together with well-being centers. But the big area that is still our big business area today was pharmaceutical and CRO business, so clinical trial business. So we recognized that based on our software, we could build up a series of services, starting from scoring, data analysis, to quality assurance, all the way up to site management, so the management of investigator sites in a clinical trial, all based on that product, Somnalyzer. And the first customers actually came back then without us doing any marketing activity. They were just on our doorsteps, called us up, and we started a clinical trial business, which culminated in a couple of years following it. Back then, there was a time where there were quite a number of substances in development that all targeted sleep, the sleeping pill in one way or another. So I'm not allowed to name the companies, but I can name the substances because they're public. One of them I can mention because it's just been published, is a substance by the Swiss company Actelion. So we were involved in quite a number of sleep trials back then. So we're right in the middle of the races for the new sleep pills, and could manage, based on our software, to establish ourselves as a world-class reading center for polysomnography in these clinical trials. So that's where really this type of business took off. We knew we cannot remain in Europe alone, especially clinical trials. They happen to a large extent in the United States or in North America. So 2007, we founded Siesta Group North America. Here, who was our sales director back then. And this was our presence at the major sleep conference. And it was the same year that the American Academy of Sleep Medicine came out with new guidelines. Say, hey, let's change the way we score sleep. And naturally, with the software we had, we were the first to follow. And pretty soon after they had published this, thanks to the work by Peter Andra, we had adapted Somnalyzer to those new guidelines. So we were floating with the market here, and we're right in the middle there in the US. 2008, we realized there's other business to do as well. Companies like Philips or Merck were interested in us developing certain new ways of analysis for them. So contract development, which we luckily could reserve for us to be used in other projects as well. So this software we developed enables us today also to help other pharmaceutical companies to calculate new biomarkers or endpoints for their clinical trials. 2009, we realized, well, clinical research doesn't start in the clinic. It starts pre-clinically in animals. So you can measure sleep in rats and mice, and that's what is being done in pharmaceutical research. So we extended our services and said, okay, EEG is EEG. It might look a little bit different, but it can be analyzed as well as the human EEG. So we added sleep staging, spectral analysis, and statistical analysis also on this side of the business. 2010, we finally reached our main business milestone. We managed to sell the main software, Somnalyzer, plus that other business, Sleep Labs, diagnostic daily business. We sold that to Philips, or to be more correct, Philips Respironics, one of, in the meantime, the leading provider of sleep diagnostic equipment in the world. And it fit very well into their portfolio. So what Sleep Lab business is concerned, the software is now being marketed by Philips, but we at the Siesta Group, we kept the back license and the right to use Somnalyzer and even modify it as much as we want in the clinical trial business, so we can continue doing the business and the nice services as we've been doing it before. And we've been continuing to extend it even further. So we realized, I mean, it wasn't just 2011 that we started this, but this was our big year where this really took off, that we saw being a reading or scoring center for sleep can be extended to other brain activity aspects as well, including well-known EEG, electroencephalography paradigms that are used in the so-called pharmaco-EEG, and we will hear a little bit more a little later. And that's where we're now, 2012. We're still alive and kicking, even more so. We're making very good business after our deal with Philips. It gave us a very firm background. We are in partnerships today. One of them is also with Philips Respironics, because it turned out they are also doing a similar kind of services in a different measuring device, so-called actigraphy, fits very well together with ours. So we do partner with them. We partner with a CRO just a few miles south of here in Graz, in case somebody wants from us more management capabilities than just data analysis, because we want to concentrate on our core competency. And with this, we think, on one hand, gives us enough reason to celebrate and gives us a good outlook to go into the next 10 or more years from here on. I want to depict here, this is the team, most of them are here. I want to officially thank you for all of them. Some of them are there from the very, very beginning. I mentioned Peter Andra. Some are relatively fresh blood, but this is now the team in which we will go in the future from here on. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. And this was a very quick tour de force over those 10 years to tell you who we think we are today and where we go from here.